Dawn's not on here today.
Dawn is doing well. I think she is just busy today. I heard from her recently.
Okay.
Um, she is actually, even though she is a lifelong Episcopalian, she wants to join the confirmation classes so that she can learn more about being an Episcopalian.
Sometimes it hits different as an adult.
I think so.
When it's like you want to know something rather than just another thing you have to go do.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. Well, I know that's the way it was with me because I didn't feel like even when I went through confirmation classes that it really took. I mean, I almost fainted when I went up to be blessed by the bishop. I almost tripped on the step going up to the altar. My mother goes, "What was that?" I said, "Well, I always just got a little nervous doing it. I don't know why."
Well, I'm glad that you did.
That was a long time ago. Oh, we got Isaiah.
So yeah, I promised I would start doing this, a little teaser for each so we know what we're getting into.
Yeah, thank you.
The reading from Isaiah is what it means to truly fast and how to properly do it. Hint, it's more than just giving something up. We have a message. Does Tom still have to throw a party? I think so. Although I might be able to help with that. I think I might have a cake with some names on it for all the people who are confirmed or received.
And then you have to throw him up.
I was just going to say, you got to show me too.
And then you two have to throw each other parties. So the Isaiah reading is about properly fasting. The psalm is the good that comes from trusting in God. The reading from 1 Corinthians is a continuation of what the readings have been. We cannot understand God without the help of the Spirit. And the reading from the Gospel of Matthew is, we are the salt and light of the world.
I'm up for anything, but if I had a vote, I'd say the Psalm. That sounds pretty cool.
Okay. It's always fun. The Psalm rarely gets emphasized, especially in preaching. So it's fun to get to focus on it a little.
I could use some reinforcement about trust.
Yeah.
This is if we're looking for, we are feeling heavy, we need a little bit of a lift. This is a good one for a little bit of a lift.
A little trust.
And that is Psalm 112, verses 1 through 9, and maybe 10 if you want it.
Yeah.
Which that's another theme of the readings this week, is there are several of the readings have brackets, which is optional additions. And why the lectionary does that, I do not know.
Well, I think it's only 10 verses long. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have the option to not read that 10th verse if we choose to. I think we will go ahead and include it. Could I ask someone to please read the psalm in whatever translation you have?
I can read it. I'm reading out of the NRSV.
Thank you, Leslie.
Switching glasses here. Okay. Praise the Lord. Happy are those who fear the Lord, who greatly delight in his commandments. Their descendants will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in their houses, and their righteousness endures forever. They rise in the darkness as a light for the upright. They are gracious, merciful, and righteous. It is well with those who deal generously and lend, who conduct their affairs with justice. For the righteous will never be moved. They will be remembered forever. They are not afraid of evil tidings. Their hearts are firm, secure in the Lord. Their hearts are steady. They will not be afraid. In the end, they will look in triumph on their foes. They have distributed freely. They have given to the poor. Their righteousness endures forever. Their horn is exalted in honor. The wicked see it and are angry. They gnash their teeth and melt away. The desire of the wicked comes to nothing. I understand now why they didn't necessarily have to read the 10th verse.
It's a bit of a tone shift, isn't it?
Or a reassurance. Justice happens eventually. If not here, then somewhere else. I find peace in that idea sometimes.
And I do, that is one thing that is very human. I've said this before, the Psalms are very human.
Yeah.
There are they call them, there's a set of Psalms they call the imprecatory Psalms, which are when we are wishing ill upon people directly. And so that's where you'll get the lines like, and God may you bash in the heads of the babies of my enemies.
Okay.
And it's not that, I don't think we include that in the Bible because we really believe that God is going to bash in any baby's heads. It's because we as humans sometimes wish that God would. And the Psalms are our voice, and we can ask God for anything. God might not grant everything.
I think he knows what's best.
Well, this one just says if you're wicked, these things will make you angry.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to be wicked, but if you happen to be wicked, then righteousness will make you angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not particularly vengeful.
No,
it's just
no.
kind of cause and effect.
Yeah.
Go ahead and be wicked.
And
see what
You'll
gets
get
you.
your comeuppance.
Sorry.
one thing that's very interesting is it does not say that the wicked will perish. It says that the desires of the wicked will perish. And so hearts will be changed eventually because God is going to win over those hearts.
It's the whole thing to me. It's kind of cool. It just seems that in all things, God is there, whether they're bad or whether they're not.
Mm-hmm.
There's the one line for this one thing I read sometimes. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd, and Him I have all that I need." And it's the truth. No matter what happens, it's
Yeah.
I find that uplifting. I love the Psalms.
I'm curious for a couple different translations. The phrase that we often use, "fear the Lord," is an interesting one, and I'm wondering, Charity, do you have the message in front of you?
I do. They still say fear.
They do. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Blessed man, blessed woman who fear God, who cherish and relish His commandments. But David's not here to click on the Greek, but often the fear is also the same idea as awe, or acknowledge how powerful, right? Like standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon was an example we've used.
Yeah.
You don't stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon and you're not like afraid because it's going to come get you, but you're like, I'm not going to step any closer.
Right.
And I recognize how huge and powerful and
Right.
amazing
There's a respect for it.
this is. And the Grand Canyon is big and I am small. And I'm going to acknowledge that difference rather than like, I want to hide under my bed from the Grand Canyon. I mean, I kind of do. I'm pretty nice, but
that's an awesome way of explaining it because I've always wanted the fear of the Lord. That just seemed, why should I be afraid of Him? He's a loving God. But what you're saying, that puts it in perspective. I like that.
There's a Gerald and Peggy book I read for the kids one Christmas Eve about waiting. And you're waiting. At the end, they're waiting for it to get dark. And then they're looking at the huge sky full of stars. And sometimes that feeling, I think, is similar. Like if you've ever had a really clear night and you're someplace away from light pollution and you can really see like
gazillions of them.
Right. And it's immense. And you're just this little speck. It doesn't mean you're scared necessarily. But anyway, those are my thoughts.
More in awe, like you say, of that.
I think that's a really good explanation.
And if you can really feel like God is that all the time, it does give you a different.
Yeah. And like you say, if you're away from the lights, when we go down Southern Illinois to hunt, you see all these stars, but then the shooting stars, and they just add to it all. It's just like, wow, it's just God's fireworks or something.
When we were first married and we did a lot of camping, when Chris was small, we would go down to Shades State Park in Indiana, and they don't have, you can't plug in there. It's all natural, and so if you're tent camping, that's great because all you have is your little lantern in your tent, and there's just no electricity. And we would go and do a lot of the things with the ranger. And quite often we would go out and lay in this big field and look up at the sky, and it was just black. It was just amazing because the stars were just poking out everywhere.
And I remember being little. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere, so there was absolutely no light pollution. So I got to see that every night, and it was Milky Way. And I remember being out walking with my dad because we had like water cows and like anyway, it was like late at night with my dad, and he was explaining that the light from the stars is old.
Yeah.
Right. And that concept that like what a light year is. He was kind of explaining like that star could be gone, but that light is just reaching us. And like my poor little kid brain trying to think about how big that must be. Yeah. And I just like, I think awe is just a really important thing to feel sometimes.
So I don't know if all of you are familiar with this. We have different Eucharistic prayers options in our prayer book.
Oh, the Star Wars one?
And I love it. There is a prayer, Eucharistic prayer C is lovingly known as the Star Wars prayer. And a portion of it is God of all power, ruler of the universe, you are worthy of glory and praise. At your command, all things came to be. The vast expanse of interstellar space, galaxies, suns, the planets in their courses, and this fragile Earth, our island home. Which I feel like it's one, you can tell the prayer book was written in the 70s.
Yeah.
And two, I think it gets at that feeling of great awe in fearing the Lord.
Yeah.
But part of it too, the awe, like you're saying that, we're just a little tiny thing, Earth, and there's all these galaxies and stuff. But yet God knows everything we're doing and cares for us. It's just, to me, that's awe. How can you do that? Because there's probably other people out there, something up there. I don't know.
And like with the Psalm, it says like, if that's where our mind is, are we going to be bothered by some of this stuff? Right? Are we going to be bothered by? I think in the Message it says something about unfazed by rumor and gossip.
Yeah, they'll not be afraid of any evil rumors.
I mean, what difference does that make if you can keep your mind on like
exactly
how big it all is, how great God is? It helps with perspective shift, I guess.
Yeah. I like that's a good way to look at this psalm. Bernadine, was there anything that stuck out to you as we were reading through this?
No, I appreciate the conversation. I mean, I do see fear of the Lord whenever I see it more as respect, honor, and be in awe of. Yeah, not fear so much.
I'm glad, Tom, especially because you hadn't heard that before. I'm glad that was something that we brought up, because I do think it's important to understand that we don't have a mean and scary God, but we do have a powerful God.
And a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense, because maybe they did mean fear as in I'm a vengeful guy who's gonna come and get you if you step out of line. Like I heard you curse when you stubbed your toe, and now you're gonna pay for it. I mean, but then the rest of it kind of doesn't make that much sense to me, because if I'm afraid of a vengeful God, I am still gonna be worried about rumor. I'm still gonna I will be shaken. I will be afraid. I will.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can think of it, for me, it just seems contextually to make more sense that they mean recognize how big God is, because then the rest of it seems to flow naturally to me.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, yes, I can be generous in lending, because what difference does it make if I've got $100 or $20 when I'm loved by the maker of this vast universe? None of these things seem to be as important, and so the rest of it can make sense in my mind. But that's just my reading.
Yeah, for me, there's nothing. I never feel closer to God than when we're out in nature. And then you just see all this stuff, and that's when the awe just, wow, he did all this, and there's a reason he did this, and there's a reason he did that, and all came together, and it's like, wow.
Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I agree.
Is there anything else that we'd like to talk about in the psalm, or would we like to move on to another reading? I mean, if I'm looking at the psalm anymore, I'm probably going to start to get a little academic on you, but and I try not to do too much of that.
If you get academic, just don't give us a test at the end.
Now, if anything, this is testing. It would be testing what I remember from seminary. Yeah, as
Our other choices were fasting. What was it?
fasting is the discussion in Isaiah. Corinthians is we cannot understand God without the Spirit. And Matthew is salt and light of the world.
Does that actually mean?
Well, why don't we talk about it?
Okay. That's true.
It's from the Sermon on the Mount that where Jesus is saying, "You are the salt of the world. You are the light of the world."
Oh, okay.
Let's go ahead. It's never a bad thing to talk about the gospel. Would anyone like to read, or should I read? I'm happy to do it if no one is feeling like volunteering in this moment.
I can read it.
Okay, thank you, Bernadine.
Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven."
Thank you, Bernadine. There's a lot in that passage.
There really is.
um,
I'll say that I taught this passage to the kids. I guess it would have been 3 years ago if it's popping up again.
Mhm.
And like for kids, if you say someone is salty, it means that they're like angry or annoyed. Like I used her water bottle that she wanted to use today, and she's been salty with me all day. And so it's completely changed its meaning, like 180 degrees. So that was the idea that it doesn't mean angry.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Isn't it funny?
But salt is still very important in the world, but back then it was before refrigeration, it was the means you had of preserving food. There's the expression, someone is worth their salt, because people were paid in salt because it was so important. So there was a lot of utility in salt that I think often gets lost in our reading of it today. There's some cool things about neuroscience. We need salt in our bodies to carry the electrical impulses for our nerves and brains to work.
But sometimes I think I've lost my saltiness. And it's like, and then I'm no longer good for anything. So what does he mean here? If we're the salt of the earth, I feel like we talk a lot about Jesus's power to be restorative, right? And to like be forgiving. And so I've never really quite understood this. If we lose our saltiness, we're not good for anything, thrown out into the garbage. I'm not sure that one, I never quite got my head around that part.
I could be way off on this, but if it seems to me like if you lose your saltiness, you've kind of drifted away from God, but yet He's there, and you can come back to Him and be okay. I don't know if that's right, wrong, but it's
No, I agree that we can always come back. I also don't know if you can actually lose your saltiness. Salt is a mineral. It doesn't go bad like other food would.
That's true.
And part of me wonders, does Jesus, now the science at the time didn't know that, does Jesus know that you can't actually? And so is it an exaggeration?
Yeah, I don't know.
the one part of this too, where it says if you got a light, you don't put it under a bushel. But to me, it's like with the Pharisees and them, they're saying how good they are and blah, 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 blah. But and this thing here, if you don't do that, but you just set a good example when you're good to people, that means that's the light. That means more than all of it. I'm sorry.
It's interesting though, because it's but yet Jesus gives us contradictory advice at different points. You'll see in our Ash Wednesday gospel that we are told, don't let your left hand see what the right is doing. Keep your good works a secret, and only pray to your Father in secret. And here we're being told the exact opposite. And also below that, we're being told that, and all of this is true. I'm not changing the laws at all. So it can be a bit confusing there. So I'm curious your thoughts on why Jesus would give us these seemingly contradictory pieces of advice on how we should be in the world.
I think it's also a little strange because if you salt the earth, that means you've destroyed the ability to grow.
You're killing it.
Right. So there must be context I am struggling with.
Yes, and I can give a little of that context. Is in Jesus's time, in Palestine, there were salt was sometimes used as a fertilizer, and I don't know. I'm not sure of the mechanics of how that would work, but it was spreading using salt in farming was a practice. Whether in which ways that's helpful, whether it prevented certain weeds from growing in their plants, but it was a helpful thing to spread the salt in this context. And he specifically is talking about taste. So salt as a food additive here, it's useful for many ways. But so he is speaking about salt in a useful way.
The message says, let me tell you why you're here. You're here to be the salt seasoning that brings out the good flavors of the earth. And if you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness?
That's kind of cool.
And that is an interesting thing about salt, is it makes things taste more like what they are. So a possible message of this is God is inviting us to help people be more of what they were created to be, which is good, because everything that was created is good.
I think I'm only half remembering, because this was, again, must have been 3 years ago if we're back around to it. But I feel like when I did it with the kids, I talked about salt and bread being used a lot for welcoming people. That in a lot of cultures, and I must have looked it up, so maybe even I could be wrong, but in a lot of places, when you're welcomed somewhere, you're offered salt and bread. And so this idea, like being the salt, could have this idea of so like maybe you've caught on to what Jesus is saying, but it would be also cool if you could like be welcoming to other people and like be like, God's working well in my life.
Yeah.
And so you guys could kind of maybe see I'm doing okay.
Right.
And if you want to know why I'm doing okay, you know, I
Yeah.
can tell you about
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, and if you're not doing that, you've lost your saltiness, and you're not harming anything, but you're also not doing anything good. You're just kind of a neutral.
right.
Which is not part of the God's missions. I don't know how I feel about the trampled underfoot. That's
Right,
what I'm still struggling
it seems
with.
kind of hard. So I'm wondering if this is like faith without works kind of thing. I don't know. But the trampled has always kind of confused me.
Yeah. That's a tough one. And my study Bible is in the other room. Let me see if it has anything interesting to add on that
I
point.
can look
And
it
you can
up,
all
too.
keep talking. Well, we kind of skip right over that in this.
Well, like you said, Brian, salt was a basic element. I mean, it's a little alkaline, but it's mostly neutral. So I think maybe if you look at it as if you lose your belief system, if you stop doing the things that are expected of you by God, you could be trampled underfoot. But it really takes a lot for salt to lose its saltiness. I mean, you have to dilute it with an awful lot of water. So maybe he's encouraging us that, just do the best you can because you are the salt of the earth. And I'm counting on you to carry my message forward.
Even then, Bernadine, when that water evaporates, the
There's
salt
still
is
salt there.
right there
Yeah.
back.
So it's tremendously difficult to make it worthless.
So I was on Bible Hub and I looked it up, and here's what it says if anyone's interested. It says in the ancient world, salt was a valuable commodity used for preserving food and enhancing flavor. By calling followers salt of the earth, he says that you have a role in preserving the moral and spiritual fabric of society. Christians are to prevent moral decay. But if you lose its flavor, if you lose effectiveness or purpose, so if you would become contaminated with impurities, then you would be useless. So if you lose your faith in God, then you can't really help society, is what it's saying.
Okay.
I actually really like the way that is written because that is true to salt. It's graded based on how pure it is, sodium chloride versus other minerals included in it. But salt can always be purified. So even if we lose our faith at times, we can always be purified and restored to saltiness. And I think that there's something really wonderful about that.
It goes on to say this idea of losing your saltiness. It says spiritually, this suggests the difficulty of regaining one's witness once it's been compromised. So it serves as a call to vigilance and perseverance in faith.
And I don't agree with that part of it. I don't think I think there is always a chance to restore saltiness.
Because I feel like I wander all the time. I mean, 100 times a day I wander. And like I feel like God's got me on a self-correcting path. It's like, oh, that's not gonna work. And nope. Like kind of like my dog on a walk. Sorry.
It's okay.
You had mentioned so much. A lot of what Jesus says is contradictory.
Mhm.
Why is that? What's he trying to?
Well, I guess my first question is, do you have any theories?
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking. That's why I asked you. I have no
Okay.
clue on that
Um, I have some theories. I think one of these things is the best we can do is theories because none of us completely
Right.
knows the mind of Jesus. One would be context. Who is Jesus speaking to in any particular moment? So maybe in this point he is speaking to some people who have been kicked around and don't see their light. And so he says, you have light. Please show it. And if he's speaking to some people who maybe are thinking a little highly of themselves, he might say, maybe show a little less, maybe build a little more humility
that
into your
makes sense.
faith.
Okay.
People say that the gospel is meant to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable.
Yeah, I like that.
And so
Okay.
Jesus is restoring balance by
Yeah.
saying different things to different
That's
audiences. It's a theory.
Well, it makes sense. I find the Bible. I didn't really do much with the Bible at school. They never really taught it. Hard to understand to begin with, and then you throw some of that in there. It's just like, wow. But that makes real good sense.
But I think the ending paragraph here is a little bit, I don't know, this idea that you have to be more righteous than everybody to even think about getting into heaven. It's just a little, it's a tall order.
Mm-hmm. Some would say an impossible order. And that is where faith comes in, is the belief that even though we will not ever be worthy of heaven, we will be there.
But what really got me was there. It says, therefore, whoever breaks one of least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom. And it's saying, yeah, you're still going to be in the kingdom of heaven. You're just not going to be. You might not be sitting right next to Jesus. You might be down a little ways off, but you're still going to be there.
That's a
And
very good
that's what I just saw. And then later on it says, well, if your righteousness doesn't exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees, then you'll never enter the kingdom of heaven, which is like, the scribes and the Pharisees were making up a lot of the rules. Not a lot of what they did in the temple and whatever was necessarily written in the scriptures. They were man-made rules to make certain people look good.
Mm-hmm. And also, later on in this gospel, the Gospel of Matthew, is where we get the golden rule. In everything, do to others as you would have them do to you. For this is the law and the prophets. So I think what Jesus is saying, I will not change any of the law, is this piece of the law that is all of the law, follow this.
Okay.
And it's the same, it's in his same speech. So he's kind of building up to that golden rule. Because I think we know that there are parts of specific Jewish ritual law that Jesus doesn't follow.
Yeah, because the next several passages are the ones where it's like, you're not supposed to murder, but hey, if you're just really like hating someone and thinking about murdering them, that's not okay too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's not okay to commit adultery, but if you're like really like thinking about it and going there in your head, that's already kind of bad. So he's saying like, there's laws and then there's like actually trying to live in a way that's not just following the letter of the law, but like actually changing your life. So I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And this is also a reminder that, I don't know any of these things for sure because none of us knows them all for sure.
Yeah.
I've made some educated guesses.
Well, we just keep trying.
Yeah, do the best we can.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts? It seems like our conversation has come to kind of a natural close right at around 2:00, which
Look
is
at
always a
us.
nice
Oh,
thing.
wow.
We're figuring it out.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I will look at some of the epistles, and I will have some fun little taglines about them for you next week, and we can see what we're interested in exploring through Lent.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Sounds real good.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, Jackie. Love you.
Bye, Jackie.